Welcome to day 3. So much fun to have Bonnie here from Art Impressions, and she's going to show us some more new things.
There's so much more to show you. You are going to love these new projects. So what we're doing are our newest releases, and you are going to love these new ones. There's some little birds, some branches, and maybe at the end, a bonus project.
Now we're going to try to do this. 1, 2, 3. Come play with us. Okay, and here they are, just like Bonnie was talking about.
Right, you're going to love these. I always say that each set is my favorite, but these really are my favorites. I love the little bird set, so it's really versatile. It comes with little bird bath and all these little birds. Over here, the fall set, these are accessories to what we already have. And so you'll be able to add these little things into your containers, into your projects. The branches, I love these. These are so versatile. They don't look like much,
no, they
but
don't.
Wait till you see how we use them.
Okay.
Twigs.
Now we will be going back into these original sets. We've talked about these each day, but just because, again, they're so useful. So this is flowers and foliage sets, and so just wanted you to know about those. These are a special offer separately, so okay.
Right, you will need those to do any of these projects, and if you look at this sample on here, this is actually, you can see the black and white images. This is what comes in the set, but see, in order to put them together, all the foliages, the grasses, all the greenery, that comes in those basic sets. Okay. So we always come back to those.
And this is what you are going to make. So let's get in close so we can really see this little sweet setting.
Isn't that cute?
So the birds. Okay.
So let's put it together.
Take it away.
You won't believe how easy this is to make.
Okay,
and
show
seriously,
me.
in just a few minutes, we can put that together. So we're going to start with our watercolor paper, of course, which we always do. And we're going to start with the basic elements. So, you know, the thing about watercolor too is that it's stressful because you don't have a starting point. And with stamps, you always have a starting point. I don't know why this is very intimidating for people.
Blank canvas.
A blank canvas, right. So you always have a starting point, and you always start the same way. Stamp the basic image, pull the color out of the lines. So let's do that.
Now you've positioned these as you want them in the finished.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's another thing I want to show is that you can position these on your block and stamp them together. So, or you can stamp them individually. Either way.
Let me show you something. Turn your hand over. This is Bonnie. This is Bonnie every day. So I just want you to know that if you look like this, it's perfect.
That's right. You will look like this. I promise you. You're going to have your fingers inked up if you're doing it right. And you know what? With me, because I do this so much, my fingers never get clean. Never. So I just have a permanent ink stain on my hands at all times.
I just want them to have all the information, you know?
To make sure there's not an imposter sitting here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to start out with 2 colors. So we're going to ink this little bird bath in the African violet first because we want that aged stone look. And we can't get that with a gray marker.
Evidently.
We have to use 2 markers. So we're using that African violet, and we're using sepia. Sepia is that color of dirt. So it's the magic color that we use. And we're also using it on the branch.
And again, the pen is on its side so that it's faster and easier to do.
Right. So you don't use the tip when you're coloring the rubber.
Is the sepia always, if you're doing 2 colors, is it always the top color?
Not necessarily.
Okie doke.
Yes. There are ways to do everything. But it's all kind of thought out for you, so you just have to obey and do the instructions.
Yes, ma'am. Okie doke, I can do that.
Okay, so now we've got our 2 basic elements on here, and our first step is pulling the color out of the lines. So again, we always have a starting point.
Because that's not real exciting right there.
That's right. It's pretty simple and boring, isn't it?
Well, just at this moment.
Yeah, you'll be amazed at what happens to it.
I'm sure.
Okay, ready?
I have been all week.
Here we go. So when we start pulling this color out of the lines, dip your brush, pinch it off so it's flat. So we don't get too much water on here. And we're going to start by pulling this color out to the center. And you can see the mix of color in here because we used 2 different markers. And now look at this container. It's rounded, so we want to show this highlight in the center all the way down. The pedestal is rounded too. So we don't want to color this all in solid. Never, never, never do that.
Okay.
Because once you've colored this in solid, you have a flat image.
And just how rounded it looks there.
Right. And the darker color is going to be the farthest away from you. So when you look at a round container, even looking at the water container, the area closest to you is the lightest.
It is.
And the area on the side, the farthest, is the darkest.
On the lip. it's lighter there and
That's
darker on
right.
the edges.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's the same with any of these containers that are rounded. The darkest area is going to be back here. This is where it's the darkest. And then here in the center is the lightest. So really what you need to know is don't pull the color all the way over.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right.
That's the easiest way to say it.
White in the center.
Leave that white in the center.
Do what Bonnie says. It will
That's
be
right.
fine.
It'll be fine. And trust me, you're going to be way happier with it, because if you color this all in solid, you've lost this bowl here.
Yeah.
You've lost the bowl, and you've got a flat image, and then it's really hard to get that back. You
Yeah.
can't get it back.
Yeah, right, right.
So we can pull some of this color back in here also.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Right.
And this here on the side, so we want to be sure to always leave that highlight. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be there.
Such just a touch of color. Just amazing.
I know,
to
isn't that
me.
crazy how
Yeah.
that changed everything?
Wow.
It is. It's so fun. So let's add some water in here now. And so we can do that on our palette or a craft sheet, any kind of shiny surface. So we're going to put some color on here. And we're going to use number 29. So this is Prussian blue, but you can use any blue that you have. I just love this color. It's such a pretty warm color. And so we can pull some of this out. You know, that's the thing about a palette or a craft sheet, is that you can mix water to it and you get a gradient of color. So you've got dark, dark to light, light, just by the amount of water. And brushing it onto your image.
I would imagine having a brush the size, this is a number 4.
Correct.
Really helps you reduce the amount of water.
Yes.
I mean, the pinching is huge, but, but if you don't start with something giant, you're not going to oversaturate it. It feels like.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Nice.
That's exactly right. The brush makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And so another, we could make another pass over it, and you can see it's gotten darker.
Yes.
So the more passes that you make, the darker it gets. And see, we've got our little bird bath in here.
And it's not totally colored in.
It's not totally colored in. No.
That's what you want.
That's what we want. And you can go through and you can add a little more color to it. You know, when you're looking at something in the shadows or under the trees, there's a lot of shadows and colors on it. And as you go, you will get more and more confident to do that. But to start, you can leave this as is.
Yes.
It's fine just the way it is.
I'm happy.
Yes. Okay. So let's add something behind it now. So I cut a little mask. You don't have to do this, but for those of you who really don't want to get anything on your little container, you can cover it just like this.
Safely.
Really, we just need this area covered right here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to take my little grasses.
And this is from the foliage set? Okay.
This is from the foliage set. So these little grasses are probably the most versatile because they're just in everything. They're just in everything. So we're going to ink this now, and we're going to kind of stamp it in a little
5 times.
5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I love
as
that.
we go around.
I love that. Oh, so that's why you've got the mask on there.
Right,
so,
so that we don't. And then we're going to add some flowers in here too.
Yeah.
And so we can cover that little post. So we've got these on the back. And so we're going to pull this color up now, up and out.
Okay.
Just drag it up. This is really the only time that you actually use a brush stroke is when you're doing the grass.
Okay, and you're pulling it up.
Pulling it up and out. And we can drag a little of this color down here too. And we can add some more around the base when we get to that point. So let's go ahead and put our flowers in. We're going to use these the little flowers now from our
from the flower set.
From the flower set.
Okay.
And I'm going to clean this off because who knows what's on it. Normally this is the way I clean my stamps. That's why this hand gets dirty. But I'm going to start with a yellow, so a really bright color. So I really want to make sure that's clean.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just using a baby wipe, so. And we're just going to use a couple, so just a few.
Oh, so not coloring all
No,
of it.
you don't have to use the whole thing. And we're going in a circle. So just like this, let's do another one in a circle. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a tight little circle. And when you stamp this, let me just show you. When you're stamping this in a circle, the block does not move. My hand, my fingers don't move. They're walking this way, so not turning.
Oh, okay.
Not turning, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It's a little hard to see with that yellow, but you see what I mean? The block is firmly in your hand, and let me show you one more time because this is really important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There you go.
And you're walking around in a circle. See the dark one in the center? The dark comes forward, the light fades back when we add water to it. And automatically, if you just stamp this like this, and add water to it, you're going to have a nice yellow background with this definite shape of the flower. And this is what we want. We want this blended image.
You want a cluster.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Perfect.
Okay, so now let's go on to the next color, and let me clean this off again. So I'm just using a baby wipe. You know, I'm kind of off
I don't think
camera.
you've cleaned them off before, but it's been darker colors.
It has been darker colors, and that's a lot of times why I use darker colors, is because I don't. I mean, if we're being honest,
do we have a cleaning issue?
If truth be told, we do, really.
Oh, it's good to know.
I'm, you know, because I am so much about being in a hurry and getting things, doing these things really quickly.
Now, is this the same stamp?
Same stamp. I just changed color. This is number 29, Prussian blue.
Okay.
So let's just clean this off again one more time.
Was that the blue that was in our water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of markers.
No.
It really doesn't.
Well, I think altogether it's just, what, 14 or 12?
It is, right,
like that? Yeah,
right.
It's nice.
It's a great starting point, and then you can always add more. But a lot of times you can mix your colors. You know, if you're missing that particular one, you can mix it.
Now,
okay.
What was that?
That's magenta. So number 20. So we've got yellow, blue, and pink.
Okay.
So now let's add our water to it. Pinch your brush off. Start with the lightest color.
Now you're tap.
Tap, tap, tap. And see how that just blended those little blooms? Same with this one.
And it actually extends the color, doesn't it?
It does. Okay. Right. It darkens and lightens. Those darker ones come forward, and it just makes the cutest little thing. So we've got our little flowers in the background now. So we've kind of protected our post.
And then you're bringing in a little bit, a couple of dabs.
Right. Okay. And then let's put a little grass now in front, because we've got this little post, and it's kind of, you know, lonesome here without anything around it. So let's just put a little bit. Tap, 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 tap. You know, once you get it, you've got it. There's nothing really complicated about this.
I too can count to 5.
Right. It's pretty simple. And because everything follows the same rules, you're comfortable doing it. So any grass that you pick up is going to follow these rules.
Exactly. So
any vine that you do, any filler flower that you do, you're going to stamp it in that circle. You're going to stamp it over and over.
That's really nice.
Isn't that comforting?
It is.
It is, because some of these things can be really stressful, and this is supposed to be fun.
Yes.
Okay,
we need to keep it fun.
We need to keep it fun. Okay, so now let's go back up to our little branch up here.
Okay.
And we're going to use another stamp from the foliage set. So this is the little, this is the vine, and we're only using part of it. Again, this is why we use markers, is because we're only using this part, just this little section here. Okay, and we're just going to stamp it a few times.
Spruce or?
This is pine green,
okay.
number 72.
I knew it was a tree.
Pine green. So a couple of times in here like that. Let's do it again. I'm kind of turning my paper because it's easier to stamp it like this. And remember, with watercolor, it's the idea of things. It's the idea of it.
Oh.
So we don't have to show the entire tree coming out. We can just show little parts of it.
So the idea of it rather than the absolute resolution of it.
That's right.
Oh, good to know.
Yes, that's why we can do it so fast. You know what? You don't have to stamp a giant oak tree over here.
Right.
You can do the little limb coming down and see the idea of it.
I like that.
So now we're going to add our water.
Tap, tap, tap.
And the sepia actually will blend with this a little bit, the sepia that's in the tree. And notice how long ago that was that we stamped that?
Actually, that's been true of everything. I mean, we've kind of talked, and then you went back and stamped, and it's been okay.
It's okay, and that's the watercolor paper that does that.
Okay.
So you can take your time and, you know, go in and take something off the stove and come back out and come back to it.
Do a load of laundry.
Right, a load of laundry. Oh, gag. That would be the worst. I was saying to a group one time that you could go in and answer your phone and then come back, and the young girl in the group had no clue.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? To go in and answer the phone. Remember back, we had the phone hanging on the wall. Okay, I'm aging myself now.
Yes, and you dial it. You have a rotary dialer.
Yes. I know, you went to the other room and answered the phone.
I know.
So yeah, times have changed. That was off on a tangent.
It was, but an important one.
But an important one. Okay, so now let's add our little birds in. You can use the positioner and position these exactly where they go, or you can guess.
We got a close up on those birds. They're just
Aren't they cute?
Charming.
Just little ones. I have the previous release. I came out with a set of birds, larger ones that go with the containers, and then I realized I need the tiny little guys.
They're cute. They're really sweet.
So for the backgrounds, to put on little things like this, you just need those little those little guys. So we're going to ink these now in the sepia.
Of course we are.
Yep, because that's what everything starts with.
Yes.
And you don't want too much pressure on these. So you just want to, let me make sure that I see if I can get, pretty good. I'm usually not that good. I usually use a positioner to make sure that I've got it in the right place.
Getting a little cocky over there,
I know,
aren't you?
I'm getting a little too overconfident. This one, we can just put this little guy up here. So he's on this branch. There we go. There we go, right in the center.
Sweet, sweet.
And then we're going to pull the color out. So pinch that brush off. You're not going to use very much of this water. You're not going to use much at all. So you're just going to pull a little of this color out. And it's really important to start with the sepia. So if you're going to make these little bluebirds, you can't stamp them in blue first. They're too one-dimensional. You have got to start with the sepia.
Okay.
And then you add your color to them. So now you add the blue.
So you've gone back into the blue that was on your sheet.
Right, and just do a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
The more passes that you make, the more color that you get on here, the darker the color. So take your time and just add it slowly.
Oh, so do layers rather than
right.
solid.
And always take your fine tip of the sepia and really darken those little beaks and the little eyes in. It's such a tiny little thing, but it makes a difference to do that. See how that pops them out?
Yeah.
And if you miss a little of their little leg or something, put that back in too.
Good. Easy.
Easy. And you can just keep doing it. You can add a little more color too to these and really make them
leave
blue.
It very, very light.
But really light.
Nice.
And just keep, the more passes, the darker that it's going to get. Let's add a little more sky in too, so we can take a little of this, really water it down on the palette.
Okay, super watered down.
Super watered down, and brush in a little of this color in the background.
So between,
less is more.
Okay.
Less is more.
Actually, that's a watchword for everything.
It is. Yeah. It is. Don't overwork things. Remember, it's the idea of it. So you're just putting in the idea that you've got blue sky back here.
I hope I'm taking notes.
It doesn't have to be. And if you think about your image, okay, draw a circle around it. That's where your sky should be. So you don't want the sky to extend off the page, like this. So you want to just kind of concentrate it in this area.
So keep it in the confines of your image.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Again, less is more.
Less is more. You can take some of this blue also and brush a little bit on your little bird bath here.
Okay.
Again, see, when you get confident, you can add a little detail here. Let's just put a little detail in here. And the more passes you make, see, the darker it is on the side. Keep that color concentrated to the side.
This is the putzing part, right?
This is the putzing part. It's so fun. It's really fun. And you'll just be amazed. First of all, you'll be amazed at how well your first try turns out.
Good to know.
Isn't that cute?
Good to know.
And isn't that easy?
Yes.
It's so easy, and it's good for everyone.
And then you must sign it.
You must sign and date.
Okay.
Because I'm a fanatic about that.
Now, the one that you've done and then the one that you brought. So just, in this case, just the corner rounder and adding it onto pattern paper.
Putting it onto your pattern paper.
Really pretty. And then you could add your greeting either inside or if you want to add a tag or something.
Right.
Just
or put it in a frame.
Or put it in a frame.
Put it in a frame. It's amazing how these turn out and what people put out. And I think they need to be framed. The majority of them just need to be framed.
Now, you talked about a bonus.
Yes, so let's do a bonus.
Okay.
Let me show you. And we can take these same little elements because we've created this little scene, but we can also do something totally different.
3-inch circle.
This is a 3-inch circle. And so we're going to just take this and
you have
a pencil?
I do have a pencil.
Okay, we're just going to do a light.
We didn't talk about a pencil
we didn't
earlier.
Talk about I know, but see, we can wing things. We can wing it.
Yes, we can.
So I'm just tracing around this.
And you're being pretty light, I think.
Really light.
Okay.
Right. And so now I'm going to take do you have a ruler too?
I do.
Okay, see? So I'm going to separate this into 4 sections, and they don't have to be perfect.
Because you're not going to do the whole thing. You're just going to do a quadrant.
I'm going to show you how to put a cute little wreath together.
Yes.
And the way that we do it is in sections.
Let me show them. Look, this is what she's going to do.
Recognize things on here?
Yeah, you should.
See, there's the little birdhouse, the little bird section. So the little birdhouses come in that set.
The branches.
Here's the vine that we used on the tree, branches. and extra little foliages. Here's that little filler flower we used.
Okay.
So you can use those same elements and create something totally, totally different. Okay. That's how versatile they are.
Show me, show me, show me.
Okay, so let's start out with a little birdhouse, and we can use any of them. So let's just pick one. And so I'm going to do one section, and what you do is just duplicate it in all the other sections.
Sure.
So it kind of breaks the wreath down that way. It's not so overwhelming, and it keeps it balanced.
And we'll have a photo in the gallery of the completed wreath, so you don't have to memorize it.
You don't have to memorize it. No. Oh, memorizing. Okay, so we're just going to stamp this in here like that. So kind of right in the middle. And then let's do another one. Let's take one of the branches. And we're going to just stamp that next to it. So just like that. It's pretty easy so far, isn't it?
I know, it's strange looking.
I know, it does. But don't panic at this stage.
Okay.
Okay, and
I'm with you.
when you're putting these things together and you first stamp them, it's like, wow, is that even going to come together?
Yeah.
But it will, I promise.
Okay.
Okay, so
Trust
let's
Bonnie.
clean this off. And we're just going to use a few of these again.
With the tool that you always have with you, your thumb.
Your thumb. And guess how many times we're stamping?
5, I know,
Five times.
In a circle.
In a circle.
Okay.
And you'll just do it automatically,
Yeah.
you know, after a while. You just do it automatically. So let's take our vine now.
We'll get a little closer to see that. There we go.
Okay, it's not looking like much.
No, smudges.
Smudges.
Artfully done. But
That's right.
Yes.
So now we're going to add some of our little vines in here.
Whoops, we're off camera.
Are we off camera
Yep,
now?
there you go.
There we go. Okay, so we've added our vines in. Doesn't have to be a lot. And let's do our, let's add our water now.
Now you're staying within the confines of that line that you drew, but
Right.
you're also going out. So
Right.
that's hence the wreath. Okay.
That's right.
Sure.
And so this is just a guideline. Your
Yeah.
elements are going to go to either side, you know, and that again is up to you. If you want a really simple one, mine tend to keep growing and growing until they're just giant, but you can do a really simple version. You know, this is just to give you an idea.
So tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap. Leave those white spaces. Leave the white spaces in
Good
there.
to mention.
So you don't want this to all be filled in solid.
Right.
Okay, so now let's go back to our little vines. This is just how we did it on the tree.
Okay.
When we did that tree, so it's all the same.
The lights
Everything
and
works the same.
Darks just make such a difference.
See how that sepia kind of blends in?
Yeah.
And then this too, now we're going to pull this color out.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes, remember those circular? So we want to make sure that we show that.
Thing. Okay, so white in the center.
White in the center, always white in the center. We never want to color that in, even if it's tiny, even if it's a tiny little thing. You always got to show that highlight.
Okay.
And let's darken this now, the center here.
Good idea.
So let's really make this darken. See how that pops that out? And you can actually do a little line under here too. See how that pops that roof up?
Yeah, it does.
Even these little things.
Like the perch.
Yes, like the little perch. And actually, we should do a little shadow underneath.
Okay.
See how that really makes a difference? All these little things make your image more realistic.
And most of them are just a stroke.
They are.
I mean, it's not
just a tiny
laborious.
little.
It's just a dot.
That's right. Just a very tiny little little dot.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go on to the next thing, and we can put in some of these little berries.
Okay.
So
And what color?
This is magenta, but you can use red.
Now you're just doing the.
I'm just doing the
berry
berries.
part. Okay.
And then I'm going to use my my green.
Okay. For the stem.
And you can use however much of this you want also.
Ah.
And then just touch it. Touch it with your brush.
Okay.
So just like that.
Deepening the color. Okay.
And add your little birds in.
Oh yes.
We got to add these guys in.
Of course we do.
For sure we do.
Yeah. Whoops. You're off.
Am I off camera?
Yep. There you go.
There we go.
Bonnie has a tendency to touch things and move
I
them.
do.
It's such a problem.
It
I have
is,
to tell
and
you.
I've got to have someone sitting next to me that moves everything back. I don't know what that is, but
I think it's funny.
there we go.
Oh,
so you can add your
cute.
little birds, and you can just continue this all the way around, just like we did these birds before.
Again, drawing the color from the edges.
Right. Sweet. And you can darken in, so you can change the color of the birds.
So not bluebirds this time?
So not bluebirds. We can do the little cute little chest.
Okay. So robin
and
red
make them
breast
really bright.
or something.
Or pink.
Or pink.
Robin pink breast.
Robin pink breast. Cute.
There we go.
Okay.
And you can always add more things to it. A little more foliage, a little more of something, you know, down in here.
Nice.
Or maybe this direction. And you've got a little corner as well, too.
You do. And
again,
just
dab.
Dabbing.
Always just dabbing.
Sweet.
Let's just add a little color to this, too. Again, you will be more confident doing things like this as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Just mixing.
Touch, touch, touch.
So easy and so quick and so fun. And again, it's these same elements that we just used on the other project.
And it helps to kind of play with them on one thing, and then you kind of have a feeling as to how they operate.
Right, that's right. And that's a huge part of it is getting familiar with the stamps so that you know how they work. You know, kind of what the feel of them, you know, how they feel, how they stamp. And then that's going to give you a lot of confidence as you go forward, too.
And so you ended up doing this. So this is kind of the piece. You did the birds a little differently, but yeah. And then just going right along. So there's a birdhouse in every quadrant, birds in all quadrants, and yeah, same.
And it just helps you keep it more balanced. The more that you do of these, you don't necessarily have to do those quadrants, but for me, it makes it easier to keep it uniform.
Yeah.
And not lose your place as you're going.
Yes, very sweet. Although I think that would be really just a sweet little...
A little corner,
I do.
Wouldn't it be cute?
Yeah, because you could just stamp a greeting in there.
Stamp a little greeting in
there.
Yes.
I could just go on and on.
Okay, double bonus.
I know, double bonus. Good deal. Oh, Bonnie, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have you.
Oh, so fun. So fun to be here, and so fun showing people how to do this fun technique.
And thank you for joining us. And yes, Bonnie will come back.
Yes,
you will, won't you? You will,
I absolutely would.